to jump on and listen to these awesome people. And you should all recognize these people. And if you don't, then we will also introduce each other. So my name is Sarah and I am the owner of CrossFit Northern Soul. And I am at home currently and I have 2 kids and I can't wait for the gym to be open. And I've also got a husband. I always forget him. Right. Okay, let's go for Tom. You go next.
Okay, so for those who don't know me, I am Tom, one of the coaches. I specialise in the Olympic weightlifting side. I've been training it for over 2 years now. Fun fact is I used to be a dancer in musical theatre, and Liz Linden used to be my teacher. If you know Coach Liz, that's a little bit about me.
Oh, what a connection. There you go. Liz, Mrs. Linden, Miss Linden. Did you ever get a detention, Tom?
Oh no, it wasn't that bad. I was a proper SWAT anyway. I was a proper, even Liz is saying I was a nerd. Yeah, I was a proper nerd.
What a fact. Great fact there. Well done. Okay, Jen, go for it.
Hi, I'm Coach Jen and I've been doing CrossFit for 4 years. I had to work that out before because I can't even remember. I've been coaching for 2 of those years and I specialise in the gymnastics side, which I'm going to be talking about. I don't think there's any really fun facts about me apart from I really like cheese. That's about it.
Hey, where was I yesterday? I was in a shop and next to the bit where it's got all the Easter egg stuff, it had a cheese Easter egg hunt, but all the eggs were shaped as cheese and I thought that was genius.
Oh, yes.
Less sugar for our Tash over there. So Tash, cheese Easter egg hunt, come on. Cheese and chocolate, Leanne, really? Is that a thing? Cheese and chocolate?
Oh, yeah, it gives you nightmares, apparently. Chocolate together.
Oh dear. Right, go for it, Rich. Over to you.
All right, guys, I'm Coach Rich. I've been coaching CrossFit for the last 12 months, but half of it, if not more, has been at home. So the people who I've met, hi, and the people who I haven't met, it's going to be good to meet you when we come out of lockdown. Fun fact, I don't know if it's fun, but and this is going to go a little bit weird, but I met Michael Jackson before he passed away on stage. It wasn't his house, it was actually on stage at a concert. So yeah, that's a fun fact.
Awesome. We really need to hear the story of that sometime, Rich, because I've heard that before and every time I'm like, how? What happened? What did he say? Was it at a concert? Yes, yeah. So my sister, who was like a massive fan, she used to follow him around like all over the world. Wherever he had a concert, she was there kind of thing. And she won some tickets to be able to meet him and then bring like her family to Wembley when the old Wembley Stadium was about. And then we were able to go. Now my twin brother, maybe that's a fun fact. I probably should have said that. He's got cerebral palsy, so he's disabled. So we went in the disability stands, and then kind of like one of the last songs, "Heal the World." How ironic! We was able to kind of go on stage, and yeah, I got a picture of him touching my head. Oh, that's so cool! Oh, amazing! Yeah, that's pretty cool that you got a twin too. Not well, it is as cool as Michael Jackson. Yeah, I'm not going to take that. Okay, brilliant. So let's go ahead. So today we've got some awesome topics that we're going to be discussing. Every single one is going to take up to 15 minutes, and these coaches have chosen something that they're super passionate about. So yeah, lean in, guys, and listen. The first one we've got is Coach Jen. So Jen, be chill. You are awesome and do your thing, girl.
Also, let me just start my timer so that I can try and not waffle too much. Okay, so I'm going to be talking quite a lot about handstands and the work that you can do at home to improve them, especially for when we get back into the gym. So when we do CrossFit classes and we have the skill portion at the start, there's never enough time to really go into how to do the handstands properly. So I'd really love this time to go through with some people, especially because we've got so many new people who've started who I've not been able to bore with my ramblings about it all. And I do love doing that. So handstands are a massive achievement for some people who have never been upside down. It's so hard to do if you've not kind of been doing it since you were a kid, or like you're super, super strong and confident. But you don't need any kit to work on them. So it's absolutely perfect, and no one has got an excuse if it is something that you do want to work on. So what I'm going to talk through are some like fundamentals of doing them, the safety aspects that you need to think about before you do them, especially when you're doing them on your own at home. And then drills for beginners who are working towards kicking up against the wall, and also some drills for people who can kick up against the wall, but really want to start coming away from the wall and making the handstands freestanding. So the first thing, the most important thing, the safety wise for your handstands, before you get started on anything, you need a really good warm up. I know you think, oh, well, you're not really doing much, it's just a handstand, but there's so many things that you do need to warm up. We'll go through that in a minute. Keeping your arms straight in your handstand, this is one thing you might not think's that important, because you think, well, you do handstand press-ups, you can just, press out of it, it's absolutely fine. But no, especially if you're a beginner and you go up into a handstand and you start bending your arms, the only way, so if I can get back here, I'm on my kid's armchair, so it's that's why I'm looking a bit weird when I move. So if you're like that and you start bending your arms and you think, oh my God, I haven't got the strength, the only way you're going to go is down. So keeping your arms straight is so, so important. Also, another thing that you might not have thought about is keeping your shoulder angle open. So if you're like that in your handstand, closing your shoulder angle like that only means one thing: you're going to keep going towards the floor and do a massive face plant on the floor. So really keeping those shoulders as open as you can. It does mean you do have to work on shoulder mobility if you haven't quite got that shoulder mobility there. But again, I'll go through a quick stretch when I go through the warm up with you. Make sure that you have space to do handstands, because there are so many things at home that you will break, or people that you may break, or yourself that you may break. So make sure you have the space. Think about the flooring as well. If you're quite confident with the handstands and you're doing them freestanding, it's so much easier to do it on a hard floor. But if you are just starting out, you're not so much doing the balancing as opposed to the kicking up. Do it on the carpet. If you've got a little mat, gives you a bit more confidence if there is a soft landing, just in case. And knowing how you're going to come out of it as well. If you're falling out of a handstand, it's more for the people who are doing freestanding, because the drills that you're doing as a beginner, if you're doing properly, then you shouldn't really be falling out of them, because you only should be progressing your drills when you are competent and confident with all of them. So knowing how you're going to come out of your handstands for people who are working towards freestanding handstands. I will not demo some of them right now, because if you don't know, I'm pregnant. I'm always pregnant. So cartwheeling out, which is just taking a hand off, bringing your feet down to the floor. You can roll out, which is bending your arms if you have the strength to do so, to just lower yourself down. Or if you are going over and you've not bent your arms, you can go into a bit of a crab, so an arch position, hands and feet. But things like that, if you do want some more information, as with everything on here, I will go through it with you individually. So warming up, you need to warm your hamstrings up. So when you're kicking up into your handstand, you might not realize it, but you've got a big lunge and a kick, and it's going to do quite a big pull on your hamstrings. So if I can get this on the right angle, good warm up for your hamstrings will be a nice dynamic one. If everyone can see me here. holding on to something if you need to, and you want to be swinging that leg. But what you want to avoid doing is bending over here and having that the pelvis tucked under, because you won't feel much. Have a nice neutral pelvis so you can feel it a bit more. And if you want to feel that stretch a bit more, tilt that pelvis back. And then when you swing it forward, you will feel that hamstring a little bit more. You also want to warm up your wrists as well. So when you're in the handstand position and your wrists are like that, all your soft tissues, you want them nice and warm and ready for work. So rolling your wrists and then pushing them each way just for a couple of minutes. Also on the floor, you can have your wrists on the floor, bending them up, bending them different ways, just nice and slowly. Just taking them every which way you can, not taking that stretch too far though. You don't want to cause pain, just want to feel a soft stretch. Also some planks and glute bridges to warm up your core and your bum, and a shoulder stretch, which everyone might want to do anyway, but especially if you're working on that mobility that I mentioned before, a good shoulder stretch to do is to have something around shoulder height. It doesn't really matter too much whereabouts it is, because you can get down to that level, but hands on, and then take your legs out or your knees out, and you want to keep your pelvis tucked under rather than arching your back. So it's a nice straight back so that you're only stretching your shoulders. If you start opening out your back, you're just using back flexibility. It's only your shoulders that you want to stretch. So in the fundamentals then, we've got fingers want to face the front if you are trying to balance. If you have your fingers to the side and you're tipping over, there's nothing to stop you there. So when you've got your fingers forward, that acts as like a brake, and your fingers are what are going to help you balance. A big thing as well is keeping stacked. So you want, when you're in a handstand, your feet, knees, hips, shoulders, hands, all ideally in a really straight line. You'll see a lot of people doing banana handstands, and some people might find it easier to balance like that, but it's not. There's absolutely no tension in that handstand at all. So it's not really a safe handstand, and it's not a strong handstand. So that tension is absolutely key. I would also say video your handstand work, because you'll have absolutely no idea where you're going wrong unless you can see it. So for the drills, how long have we got left? About 6 minutes, I think. So beginner drills. Talking too much. So if you're just working towards kicking up, at first you don't need any other kit. So you'd want to just be on the floor. Let me find a good space here. Just squatting down on the floor, and you want to be able to get your hands in front of you on the floor and just work at going up. You don't even need to take your feet off the floor yet. So you might be kind of used to that position if you do top planks and you're used to your shoulders being that far over your hands, but you might not be used to it. So at first, it's just used to getting those hands down in front of your shoulder width apart and getting that bum up. From there, you can do the same thing, but trying to take one leg up. The leg that you take up, really try and keep it straight. If you're bending that leg, when you take it up there, you will always bend that leg. If you get used to doing it straight, then you'll always do it straight. Also, try and do it on both legs as well. Try and keep everything nice and balanced. Kicking up on my bad leg is absolutely terrible, but really, really, really should work on it. Because if you broke one leg, or you've got a problem with an ankle, and you want to do some handstands or handstand press-ups, then you need to kick up on another leg. So from there, kicking up with that leg. A progression from there, if you can see, and hopefully I won't kick my light, So I'm like doing it from standing up. So exactly the same thing. You don't need to leave the floor yet, but hands down and just one leg up. Just getting used to that lunge and kicking up. And the progression from that is just slightly leaving the floor. It could be the tiniest bit, like microscopic. It does not matter. You need to get that confidence before you're going to start fully kicking up. From there then, I'm so scared about kicking my light. From there, you might need a sofa or a table, something kind of sturdy. I will use this chair. One thing though, if you're using chairs, tables, anything to kick up off, make sure they're not going to tip over. So using the chair that I've got behind me, it's not very heavy, it's not the sturdiest, so I might want someone to hold it or put some weights behind it. If you're using a full-on sofa, it's not going to tip up at all, so you're okay. So using a chair like so, making sure it's not going to tip. You want to work on getting stacked. So having either your knees or your feet on here, hands shoulder width apart, and you want to stick your bum in the air to try and get as stacked as possible. You might start off here, but you're aiming to get right up here. And then only stay in that position for a couple of seconds because the blood will rush to your head, your shoulders will burn out, and you want to be able to do it a few times before you get absolutely burnt out. So make sure you get enough rest. Whew, I'm knackered after being upside down for 10 seconds. And then progression from there is to take one foot off. So in that same position, you've got stacked, and then you want to be able to take one foot off again. It could be there. And then you progress to further up here, but only when you're confident. So you could be taking your foot off a centimetre, it does not matter. And then when you're confident, take it up further. And then when you're really, really confident on both legs with that, take it to the wall. So I'm just going to get a more sturdy little baby chair for the wall. So from here, what you're going to be doing is more of a TikTok drill. So using that same drill, taking one foot off, you're going to aim to take that foot off and then slightly push off with that other foot, and you're going to aim to get one foot on the wall. So in that position, pull that back a bit. In that same position, one foot on the wall and back. And then you can tick-tock. Keep tick-tocking between the two. So the higher your chair, the less work you have to do. It's actually easier on your hamstrings as well if it's higher. But it will be a little bit easier. So then when you get more confident with that, you can lower the chair or the bench that you're using so that you have to do that extra work to kick up. Oh, I'm knackered again. Did I mention I'm pregnant? I'm not just really unfit. So if you can kick up then, we've got a couple of minutes. Oh, 1 minute. Okay. So if you can already kick up, you want to really be working on your tension and your shaping in your handstand position. So there's a lot of strength work that if I do have time after, I'll go through a little bit of strength work, but I can always speak to you individually. So when you're actually on the wall, you're aiming to come off it really slightly with one foot, and then your foot that's still on the wall, you want to start to bring that to it. So will we be able to see? Oh, light lab's going off. I'll only be a minute. So in your handstand position then, you want to make sure you've got a nice position. You want to be able to slightly see your hands, because you can't balance if you can't see your hands. 1 foot off, and that other foot is just going to be slightly coming off that wall. And then when you're confident enough, bring it to it. Again, it will only be it'll only be for like a second, a millisecond. It doesn't matter because it's slow progress, but it will get longer, even if it's like 1 second at a time. When you think you've kind of mastered that and you can feel that balance in your fingers when you bring your feet away from the wall, you want to do the same but further away from the wall, but the importance on keeping that shape. So when you're up there and you're a bit further away from the wall, you have to do more work. First leg still wants to be in position, but what you don't want to do is lose that position. You want to keep that position there, and as you come away from the wall, keeping that nice tight position. I'm well aware my core does not look tight at all. I do have, what else do we have as well? You can do it facing the other way as well. So a really good one for taking away that confidence that the wall's there is to do it the other way. So let's get a bit further away there. So 1 foot off, taking the other one. So although you might think, oh my God, there's nothing behind me, I'm going to fall, just have a go. If you're not 100% confident, try the wall walks first. So you don't have to go all the way up, but when you're confident that you're not going to fall over forwards, just try it. There was a couple more things I was going to try, but I think I'm going to be running out of time. But if anyone does want to go through anything individually, especially people who can kick up, I've not been able to go through everything because I've just waffled. So if you do want to chat, just message me, text me. I'm not bothered, just get in touch and we can go through some stuff. And video your drills as well. Video your drills, video your strength work so you can see what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Definitely do that, guys. Video yourself. It doesn't matter. Like, we've literally seen it all at the gym. So please do video yourself and then send it to a coach, but specifically Jen, and you know, and just ask for advice and just say where am I going wrong, or what the heck, you know, I'm too scared. What is one thing that I can do today? But those were awesome, Jen. Thank you so much. Really, really good. And you know, I know that you had loads more planned. So I think what we'll do maybe is when we can, we'll do a seminar in person at the gym.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because I think it's absolutely insane that, you know, there's so much there that we just can't fit into a class, and yet handstands are on most people's goal list. You know, they all want to have a handstand, so it's important that we can offer that type of thing. But also remember that all our coaches are also available to hire as PTs. So if you ever do want just some intensive work with one coach, ask them for how much for half an hour, how much for an hour, or how much for a program, you know, that type of thing, and see what they say. But thank you so much, Jen. Well done. You're so passionate. That's why you're out of breath. That's not anything else. Just the passion was just overflowing. Right, Brill. So remember, if you've got any Q&As, pop them in the Q&A box. Well, just the Q's, not the A's. Yeah, so let's head over to Rich now. Thank you so much, Jen. Right, Rich, over to you.
Yes, Jen, that was amazing. First of all, can everyone hear me? Perfect. Second question. Can everyone see what's going on here? Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put my timer on. So today's presentation, lecture, whatever you want to call it, is going to be about load versus capacity and how injuries happen. So obviously, we've been in 3 lockdowns now, and in the last 12 months, we've kind of been on and off doing certain stuff. Some of us working on strength, some of us working on cardio, some of us working on not much at all. So I wanted to talk about how injuries happen, and actually how it could be a problem and how it might not be a problem. So first things first, your capacity. Now we're going to call this dotted line your capacity. It just basically means what loads can you handle, what can your body handle. So anything below this dotted line, there's going to be no pain or potentially no problem. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes it doesn't always need to be a pain for it to be an issue. It could be the fact that actually you're at the gym and your 1 rep max is, 100 kilograms for the deadlift, and you want to be able to progress. Just add those 1.25s on, or even 1 kilogram on each side, and you can't get it off the weight. It's not going to cause you pain, but it is going to be a problem. Anything above this line here, there's going to be pain or a problem. So I'm now going to break it down now and use this box stacking analogy. So one of the first things you're going to have on this box is going to be your anatomical defects. Can you see that red, or should I change the colour? Yeah, cool. So what atomical defects is basically things that have happened in the past. So either things that you're potentially born with that aren't looking right, or things that happen, like you might have had an injury, so you might have rolled your ankle, or you might have broken your knee, if that's even a thing, or you might have like injured or teared your chest or something like that, and you have some scar tissue. So those sort of things, or things that have happened in the past, it's going to be a load on your body. Or you might have been born with, a weird looking hip bone, like me, for example, my right side. So that's one thing. The next thing added on to that, this box here is amazing. This box here is the recovery box, your stress, diet, and sleep. So obviously in everyday life, we have some type of stresses. Now, it doesn't always have to be a physical stress. It could be a mental stress. It could be what's happening at home, what's happening at work. Just thinking about presenting this presentation could be a stress. Could be anything. But we all have things that we can do to allow our stress to be a little bit lower. And this box could be smaller. So a good thing about these boxes here, they're interchangeable. So they could be bigger, they could be smaller, depending on who you are and what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So the next one, your diet. Now, diet doesn't need to be about, oh, I'm on a diet. It's just basically what food you're consuming, drink that you're drinking. I saw a nice cue there. Or it could be the fact that alcohol could be involved. So anything that's kind of like that. So if you're not eating that great and not getting those whole foods in, and just being sluggish and not having energy all the time, these sort of things that you can think about to change. And then last point is going to be your sleep. So if you're not managing to be able to get enough sleep in, then it's going to be hard for you to recover, because training allows you to obviously break down the muscle, but those three things here, and especially sleep, is what's going to help you progress and actually recover. This box here, stress, diet, and sleep, Coach Tom is going to talk a lot more about in his presentation as well. So the next box, we've got your functional diagnosis. So what this box is basically your flexibility, your mobility, so a bit like what Jen was talking about, your strength balance, so right leg versus left leg, right arm left versus left arm, and so on and so forth. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in this section here. But how good are you at actually like moving your body? How efficient are you at moving? So like I mentioned, these boxes here are all, well, especially these two, are interchangeable. So the better you become at these two, the smaller they can become and less load on your body. So these are your pre-existing loads. These are things that we wake up with on a daily basis. So now we're going to talk about what a normal or typical day might look like. Now, obviously, everyone's going to be different, but adding another load on your body. We wake up in the morning and we have to do things around the house. That could be the fact that, like I mentioned, you might have children, you've got to deal with them, you've got to send them off to school. It might be the fact that you've just got to be able to sort your day out, you've got to prepare your food for the next day. Regardless, it's still going to be a load on your body. So I'll call it home. So you've done that now, and the next part of your day might be actually, right, I've got to go to work. Now, obviously working from home, some people still have to go into work, but doing 6 or 8 hours of work, regardless if it's going to the gym or you're sitting down having to go for a drive, you might be a lorry driver, sitting down for 6 to 8 hours a day, it's still going to be a load and a stress on your body. Sometimes you might have driven and be like, oh man, I'm so achy, that was so hard. You haven't done anything, and you're still going to, but your body's still going to be irritated in some kind of way. So that's that. So we'll call that work. So from there, your day is done now. Now, I know some people train in the middle of the day, but let's just say that we train at the end. So we're at the gym now, and at this point now, we're still below our capacity. But we might have got to the gym and done a 400-meter run, or lots of sets of 400-meter runs. Then we've done some squats. They could be back squats, they could be front squats, could be overhead squats, could be anything. And they were quite close to our capacity. From there, we might actually start doing some deadlifts or some kettlebell swings. And believe it or not, we've now hit our capacity. Now, it might be the fact that actually, you know what, you've hurt your back and you're like, oh, I've gone to the doctor. And you said to the doctor, look, I was at the gym and I was doing kettlebell swings and my back feels like, it feels achy, feels hurt, feels like I can't do it anymore. Your doctor's going to say, well, what was you actually doing? He's like, well, I was swinging a kettlebell. He's like, what, you were swinging a metal object? But how heavy was this metal object that you were swinging? Oh, you know, it's only 24 kilograms, it's only 32 kilograms, only 16 kilograms. What, you were swinging 24 kilograms around? Like, what do you think the doctor's going to say? Cool. So as Sarah kind of did on the video, she's like, nope, there's no point doing kettlebell swings anymore. Well, you're going to be like, hold up, I want to be able to do kettlebell swings. That's not really a viable option for me. So these things here are your needs and wants. The things you want to be able to do on a daily basis and not have to worry about the doctor saying, you know what, you can't do that because you hurt your back and you do kettlebell swings, or stop doing kettlebell swings. So we've got a couple of options. Like I mentioned before, these boxes can be interchangeable. So first one, anatomical defects. I mean, you can't go back in the past and unroll your ankle or stop yourself from getting injured before, because that's already happened. So this box is pretty much going to stay the same. The next box is going to be your stress, diet, and sleep. As I said before, Coach Tom is going to talk more about this, but we're 100% going to be able to sort out our stress, sort out our diet, and sort out our sleep by the coaches that are on this panel, or even what you've been able to do in your past. As long as you're being more aware about how to sort that out, this box could probably be gone completely. But let's just say it can be cut down in half. I'm going to do it in black. And then from there, we've got that functional diagnosis. So we can definitely 100% improve our flexibility and our mobility. We can definitely improve our strength. So again, let's say this box can be cut down in half. You can probably go all the way if you're super flexible like Jen and super strong like Tom. So already, the injuries that you pretty much had before, as you can see that these boxes here have now pretty much gone down by quite a lot, and we're nowhere near that capacity line and that load. So we have our normal work day or our normal day, and we've got home life. We've got work. And we're like, yes, our day's done. we can now start going back to the gym, and we go back and do that workout that we did last time that actually injured ourselves before. We pluck up the courage to do it, and we're going to go and crack on. So we've got 400-meter run. We've got squats of some variation. And we've got those kettlebell swings. And as you can see right there, we're now underneath, or way underneath that capacity line. That's amazing. You're like, yes, I feel so good about that. Kettlebell swings didn't hurt me because I've been working all that other stuff. I've worked on my stress, I've worked on my diet, I've worked on my flexibility, I've got stronger, and I figured it out. And you're like, you know what, I feel good. Now, so your mate might be like, you know what, do you want to do a workout in the morning? Like 600 meters, 6 a.m. We'll do like sprints of 600-meter work, and we're going to add some kettlebell swings. But yeah, I feel good now. And actually, we're going to add in some handstand press-ups because Jen's taught you how to do it. And typically, the handstand press-ups aren't really going to affect anything. But that night, you're like, oh man, I've got so much work to do. I've got so much stress on my body. But you know what? Forget it. I'll be fine. I feel good now. I'm injury-free now for the last 2 months. So you hit the workout, and actually for whatever reason that was also a big load on your system. And as you can see right at the top, you've just flirted or just gone over that pain or that load threshold, and you're thinking, what, hold on, I've been injury free for like ages now, like how has that affected me? Like, but then what's happened is all this is improved, but your capacity hasn't improved. So the things that we can do to increase our capacity is make sure that actually, if we are getting programming from a coach, or we are understanding what we need to do, we can improve that by being at a gym 2 or 3 times a week, and starting small and building up. So personally, if we can increase that capacity to here, you've now got this much room for injury versus this much room for injury. Now, personally, I'd much rather be the athlete on the right versus the athlete on the left. So that's that first bit. I'm going to quickly run through, if we've got a few minutes left, the next part. Yeah, perfect. So the next bit then, as I mentioned, the FD, the functional diagnosis. So the same as when you're doing CrossFit, and we have the, I don't know what it's called, stacking the stuff up where we've got like nutrition at the bottom, then we've got the metabolic conditioning, then we've got the gymnastics, then we've got strength, and then we've got throwing. Well, we also have these for the athlete's hierarchy of needs too. So the first part of it is going to be flexibility. So can anyone have a guess what flexibility might be? Just in one line. Length of muscle, ability to open joints. Okay, cool. So the definition that we'd like to use for this is your passive range of motion. Passive range of motion. What that basically means is working through gravity or external load. So a couple of things that you can compare with this. If you used to lie on your back completely and bring your arm overhead, it's just going to drop down to the floor because that's what gravity is doing. So your passive range of motion, or the other one might be actually if you get your finger and put it back, it's an external load. So that's how flexible you are. The next one on top of that is going to be mobility. Now, you're never going to have more mobility than you are flexibility. So if that's your passive range of motion, what do you think the one above is going to be? Yes, I like it. Nice, Liz. Active range of motion. So again, though, using those 2 points. Oh, 1 more minute. Using those 2 points. Again, lying on your back. If you were to lie on your back and let gravity do the work, or you actually get your arm, a bit like what Jen said, and you can only get to here, then again, that's how much strength or mobility you've got in that shoulder. So that's something that you can think about working on. So when we're like always working on stretching, it might not be a strength issue. It could be, it might not be a stretching issue. It could be a strength issue. So yeah, active range of motion. Or the other thing might be you pull your finger so far back and you let go. That's how much mobility I've got in that finger. Next one from there is going to be your strength balance. So a lot of people struggle with overhead squats, and they think that, or even snatches, and they think that it's got to do with actually their lower body, for example, and for whatever reason, they're doing like a good morning overhead squat, and you're wondering why that's the issue. But it could be the fact that actually, because you're so used to doing deadlifts and your deadlifts are way stronger than your squats, it means that actually you need to start working that squat pattern a little bit more to allow you to be a little bit more upright and start working on stuff like your ankles and things like that. So that could be your strength balance, working forward and backwards. Or let's say, for example, you're doing shoulder press and you've always got one arm pressing more than the other arm. That's also going to cause that as well. Last 2 points, I'll just bring them together. It's going to be your work, rest, and your skill. So a lot of people think that if I go to the gym 5 times a week and then only recover 2, then I'm going to be able to get my gains quicker. I'm going to be able to come fit a lot quicker. That's not always the case. Everyone works differently. So Coach Tom, Coach Jen, Coach Sarah are all going to be they have to handle different loads of guests, especially from this. Some people are going to have children, some people aren't. Some people are going to have to recover a little bit more. So you're not going to be able to go to the gym 3 times a week all the time or 5 times a week all the time. You have to figure that out and make sure you're getting that recovery in. Then the last thing is a skill. Now, I'm not saying that you can't work on skills like handstand press-ups, like overhead squats, like this, that, and the other kind of thing. But the reason why you might not be as proficient as you could be on the top one is because things down below might not be as good. It could be as simple as the fact that this one here, you're working too much, you're not recovering enough. So I know that I rushed that last part, but yes. So that's the load versus capacity and athletes' hierarchy of needs.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rich. That was really, really good. I need to watch that again so that I can how do I do this? So that I can learn it again. But yeah, really, really good. Thanks, dude. Yeah, maybe it might be worth you just posting something up afterwards, just so that I can remember what those things are, the initials, the abbreviations. But yeah, absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. Brill. All right, so Tom, you are up next. Now, I know that you've only got 10 minutes till you start coaching the class, but I'm just going to ask Liz if she'll jump onto the class at 10 to give you 5 minutes. All right, so go ahead for the 15 minutes. And Liz, if you can let me know if you can do that, even if you just jump on and just say to the girls that are booked on, just say, can you just hold on for 5 minutes or get them warmed up? That would be really helpful. Thank you. All right, Tom, you good?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Okay, guys, so today's seminar is going to be focusing on when you begin training and you're going to get your strength adaptation, is maintaining those adaptations, okay? Because we can love training, but obviously when we train and we want to see some progression in whatever that we are doing, okay? So we're going to focus on nutrition and how that affects your adaptations when it comes to your recovery and maintaining your strength, your sleep, and also which goes along with your rest and recovery. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to focus on is nutrition. I'm going to do the basics first of your carbs. So your carbs are your energy source for everything that you do in life. It's your first point source for energy. So whether you're going out for a walk, training, or for anything, okay? So, and if you fuel too much carbohydrates, that will end up overloading in your kidneys and it will be stored in other parts of your body as fat, okay? So for the ladies, it'll be round your hips for most of you. That's where it's commonly known for, and all that excess glycogen will turn into fat and it causes there. But the same thing as well is if you don't eat enough carbohydrates and you have to more protein rather than carbohydrates, they're going to use that protein as your energy source. So that means that the proteins that you're eating to recover, to cause that adaptation in your muscles to grow, is not going to happen, because it is using protein and wasting away your muscle source for energy. So that's why it's important to keep a really nice balance of carbs and of proteins as well, okay? I'm trying to keep it basic and not ramble on too much about really scientific stuff, because you've taken in so much information today as well. So if you have any questions or want me to pause or anything and repeat anything, just give me a shout. Okay, so, and also we'll go on what actually strength is and how strength actually starts. So when you have strength, you have muscle fibers that have motor neurons in them, and they fire when it comes to activation. So it stems from your nervous system. Okay, so that means we need to keep our nervous system as healthy as we can as well. So that comes with optimal nutrition and also hydration. There has been a study done with your hydration that if you do not have significant hydration to maintain your nervous system, it showed less results and less power output, because it did not fire the muscles, and the nervous system couldn't send the signals as quickly as they could have done. So hydration is optimal. And if you want to find out how much water minimal you should drink, all it is, it's your body weight in kilograms divided by 30, and that's how much water you should drink minimally throughout the day. Okay? And also, what can help with it is some supplementation if you are training a lot. I think mostly it's females on here as well. So you can have a look at more iron, so it can get so it can help with your red blood cells and everything like that. Omega-3 and omega-6 for your joints as well. If you're training a lot, we want to feel vibrant and get them loose for training as well. So that's just basic things. And also, vitamin B complex is really good for your nervous system as well, to get to sort of signals send fast. And also for the women as well, it's a lot harder strength training for women than it is for men. You literally go through like 4 different personalities in a month, but men just don't change at all. And that's just the basics of science. So if you want to put that to an advantage, your best time for strength training, providing that you have done that with your diet and stuff like that, is just before your ovulation period. That's when your testosterone is at its highest. That's when all the PBs will come out, okay? So when you're hitting that 2 weeks and it's like you're feeling min, your testosterone's high, you got loads of energy, that's the time to think, right, I'm going to hit heavy, I'm going to smash it. Then after ovulation, don't worry about it too much. Just stick to doing more maintenance stuff, so because it can also lead to injury if you're not maintaining as well, okay, if you're going too heavy after that ovulation period. So that's just a little side note. For women, have it a lot harder than men do when it comes to resistance training, okay? So that's a little bit on the supplementation and dietary requirements that will help, okay? And the next thing to do is to actually rest, because I know that a lot of CrossFitters like to smash it 8 times a week and then just think, I can do so much more. If you are doing more, you can still do a lot of exercise as long as you get the right amount of energy, right amount of calories, so it balances with it, but you still need rest. The actual adaptations of when you train only happen when you are resting and recovering and sleeping. You're sleeping, that's when your growth hormone actually activates when you sleep. So that is the build-up of muscle, and that is the build-up of strength that happens. You don't see some people just walking when they're awake and they're just growing. It happens when you are sleeping. It's like anything. You get a baby to sleep so that they grow. It's still the same as you grow. Just make sure you're getting sufficient amount of sleep. And a little hint, if you don't sleep very well sometimes, having a banana before you go to bed with the potassium actually can help with sleep for some people. So if you have a bit of rubbish sleep, try some potassium and a banana before you go to bed, and it may help with your sleep. Okay. How long have we got left? Oh, plenty of time. Okay. So last but not least, it's also just a quick one for this one. So it's going to be the best way of recovery. So recovery, there's been so many popular recovery things. This year at the moment, it's ice baths and ice showers have become really popular this year for recovery and stuff like that. But that sometimes doesn't work with a lot of people. Okay, it works more with the lower limbs when it comes to ice bath rather than the upper body. And ice baths are really good for lowering inflammation if you are training a significant amount a week and you can consecutively keep training. Okay, but the other ways, one of the best ways to do is massage. Massages are one of the best things to do when it comes to speeding up your recovery. You're getting rid of all that crap that's in your body, all that lactic acid buildup from past training, and you're actually getting more blood flow to the muscles, okay, which means the nutrients are going to the blood, and that means you're going to recover a lot quicker. And massages are still open as well. They are a healthcare service, so make sure you find somebody that is open at the moment if you are feeling tired and run down from training, okay? And other ones above that is also stretching. So it's sort of touching on what Rick said about stretching and stuff like that. You want to stretch to your range of motion when it comes to recovery. Don't overstretch or anything. The only proper athletes that really need to overstretch are gymnasts or dancers. They need to overstretch for their sport. When it comes to just wanting to recover and actually feel better for training, just increasing your range of motions. You're not stretching for pain, you're stretching so there is more blood flow and significant blood flow throughout the body. So a mixture of stretching and massaging is one of the best ways of having a well recovered body as well. And also just having a walk, 10 minutes walk after you've trained gets the blood circulating again. The whole point of recovery is to get blood circulation and keep going with that blood circulation. Okay. And that's because then we can get more oxygen in the body as well, and you will get fitter throughout while you're with the body as well. Okay. Finally, there's not any lads on here, but I will touch on. There's not any lads apart from Rich. There's not many lads on here, but we'll talk about the supplementation for the men as well. So these are just little cheeky hints and tips. And if you know anybody who is like struggling, having zinc and magnesium before you go to bed is really good for increasing your testosterone production while you're sleeping, and gives you more testosterone while you're sleeping, which is really good for you as well. Okay. I'm trying to think, was there anything else that I've missed? Because that's just the basics of it. I don't want to give you anything massive. Oh, one of the other things as well. So we have some other supplementation, which is really good. Your creatine can make a massive input when it comes to energy output and building muscle as well. It goes in line with your energy systems that you have when you train. So it'll build up that muscle as well, along with the proteins, and give you that output energy, that fast output energy, especially when it comes to CrossFit as well. Also is amino acids. Amino acids can be really good for you as well. Decreasing muscle fatigue and stuff like that. So very good for your recovery. So I'm sure the knuckles at the gym have amino acids. So get on the knuckles at the gym to get those amino acids in. But apart from that, when it comes to apart from nutrition, which is quite obvious, when it comes to your rest and recovery, it's very much individualized to what works for you and stuff like that. No, there's a lot of things, like, because I enjoy having my ice baths after I train, but there's a lot of people saying, oh, ice baths won't do anything good for you. But I really enjoy having them, and I feel the benefits for myself. So all you really need to do is just try stuff out and make sure you find the right sort of recovery for yourself, and that gives you a good routine for that as well. And relax as well. Even though we know you love to train, just remember that rest and recovering and eating is the most important part of when you are training as well. Okay, guys? So you can make these habits up now. So like say we're opening, how long is it? Is it 29 days till part graft and then it's about 6 or 7 weeks until we actually open. Start making those habits now, like with your nutrition. So there's been the 21-day kickstart nutrition that Liz has done. There's going to be another one of them probably you can hop onto as well, and just start building up them habits of nutrition. So if you know you don't eat enough that you should be doing compared to your exercise, just start increasing those calories a little bit as well. Because especially when it comes to women, they believe that they shouldn't eat enough amount of calories when it isn't true. You need to eat enough for your energy expenditure, and that's just the way it is. Like it's really simple, but it's just making habits of it. Like if you're low on your protein, increase your protein intake as well. Just finding little things that you know that you struggle with and just building up habits on it. And if you need help with finding what habit you actually want to build on, give any of the coaches a shout. We will guide you through what it is you're struggling with, root to the problem, and then we can start from the basics and just build up from there. I think that's everything I've got to say now. Got a couple more minutes if anybody has any questions for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tom. Thank you so much. I love that it was, so broad, but also so specific as well, because there's so much that we can all learn about our bodies, but we can't actually take on that much information. So really helpful. Thank you, Tom. If anyone's got any questions, pop it in the chat now or the Q&A.